All right. So thanks for joining. Today we're going to be going over the end user training for Respond. This will be replacing your Navigator client that you're currently using out in your ambulances. I think you'll like it. A lot of nice new features on it compared to what you're using currently in Navigator, which hopefully will make your job easier at the end of the day. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And you should be seeing a screen with a iPad on it currently. Am I correct? Everyone see that? All right, perfect. So you're going to be having Respond on an iPad out in your ambulances. So there'll be a new icon on there, which you can go ahead and launch it. Coming up on the day of your cutover, which is June 30th, I believe, off the top of my head, we're going to be sending an email out to all of the crew members. Essentially, it's a welcome to Zoll email, which is going to have you essentially just set your password for the first time to get into your account. So your account will be your email address and then that password, of course, that you create. So when signing into the device, that is how you're going to be accessing it. So when you launch the software, you're going to be prompted for that username and password. You can go ahead and pop it in here. If you're using shared devices, such as like the iPads in the front of the ambulances, you won't be able to utilize the biometric login. But if it is on a personal device where you're the only user, you can access it using biometrics to sign in, which does make it a little easier. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in. And similar to how you guys run with Navigator, you do have the ability to sign in and register your crew to activate them in dispatch. So the dispatcher can activate you themselves, or if you want to activate, you can to get yourself set up and running in RescueNet. So you're going to go ahead and enter your username and password, and you can get the loading icon here. In my case, I'm tied to a couple different companies, so I'm just being prompted what company I'm working with. If you're not working with any other companies, you will not even see this prompt, and it'll skip right over it. And it's going to go ahead and sign you in. And today I'm going to be working with, I have a test company that I'm working with since you guys aren't live yet, so I won't be using your data. However, I do have this configured, our test company is configured the way you guys will be set up using it, with the exception of I'm using my test facilities and my vehicles. So, but as far as the operation and navigation of it, it's all going to be set up similar to how you guys had it. So when signing in, you'll need to pick your company name. So if you just start typing the first 2 letters of your company name for United, it will populate. And then you just pick it from the drop-down list. And then it's going to ask you what vehicle you're on. In my case, I'm going to be on 410, and I'm going to be in unit 400. So you'll pick your unit and vehicle. You have the ability to change what vehicle type you guys are for the day. So if you're running only a BLS crew, for example, you can pick BLS or ALS, whatever your vehicle types are that you have set up. And then you have to, one of the users has to do what we call make primary. So we're going to talk about that in just a second, but I'm going to hit make primary. And then I can add a second crew member. So in my case, I have a second username under my account, or under my name. So I'm just going to enter my second username is my second crew member. And if I pull, I'm going to drag RescueNet over here in the background. It'll cooperate. So in RescueNet, you see I don't have any vehicles activated yet. And if I slide that out of the way, go ahead and hit next. When I sign in, you'll see that it activates my vehicle, has my crew members on it, and we'll also see a green status on the vehicle. So this, for those of you that might be dispatchers out here, you'll see this green background on the unit and vehicle, just like you did with Navigator. So green's letting the dispatcher know that they are connected to Respond. Red lets the dispatcher know that they have logged out or signed out. And if it's yellow, it'll indicate that they have a break in their connection, such as a loss of Wi-Fi or cell signal, and then it's trying to reconnect. So green is good though. So if it's green, they should be getting all of your messages that dispatch is sending out. All right, so a little bit about that make primary that you saw. So in order for us to send statuses or GPS updates, one of the devices has to be what we call primary. So you can have both crew members, or if you have 3 crew members even, all of them can sign in on devices, but only one of them is able to drive the time stamping and the vehicle location through AVL updates. So my recommendation to you, based on my talking with Sharky when we went through our admin training, sounds like you're going to have an iPad up in the front of the vehicle that should be there most of the time. My recommendation would be using that iPad as the primary. So whoever is signing in on that iPad, tell yourself to make a primary. So, but like I said, both crew members can sign in. So I'm actually going to just shift this off to the side. And over on the right-hand side here, I actually have that second crew member who's going to sign in, and this is just on a phone. So when I go ahead and sign in here, I'm going to pick my company. And again, that'll skip over if you don't have any other companies that you're working with. And that second user will also need to pick the company in the vehicle and unit they're signing in on. So we're going to go through that same process of picking your vehicle and unit. I do have the option to make primary again, which means I'm going to, if I click that button, I'm going to take it over from here. But in this case, I'm going to let that original user be primary, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And that's going to sign me in. So to know who's primary, so you do have the ability to switch primary. So if for some reason, logistically, you guys are moving an iPad around or something like that, this iPad right now is considered the primary, and that can be seen by the little icon here of like a cell phone with a P next to it. On the phone, it looks a little bit different just because the layout's different. But if I hit this hamburger menu at the top and click on the settings, you'll see right here that that original crew member is primary, and that the second one that this phone is not the primary. But I do have the option to make me primary. So if I click this button, it's actually going to take away primary. So you'll see that icon went away from the iPad, and now you'll see it on the phone. And then vice versa on the iPad. If I want to take primary back, I can click the name menu and click on make me primary, and that's going to steal it back to the iPad in this case. So you do have the ability to easily swap what device is the primary. But like I said, sounds like in what you guys will be doing, it'll, for the most part, just be that iPad in the front of the ambulance. You probably won't have too much of a need to switch back and forth. So a little bit about the iPad now as far as navigating, or the phone for that matter. So starting at the top right corner, you'll see the name of who you're signed in on along with the unit. And if I hit the drop-down menu here, you'll see who your partners are listed on the vehicles. You'll see a do not disturb button. That do not disturb button does not turn on a do not disturb for receiving calls. You'll still receive a call and be alerted for a trip that you're getting through dispatch. That do not disturb is tied back to, we have a chat and a push to talk feature, and it essentially will silence any incoming chat or push to talks, but you still will receive trip information. We do have a help and a what's new link. This will just take you to our help pages and what's new. I do recommend checking those out. They'll just launch a website for our help page, and the what's new, anytime there's any new releases coming out, it'll show you what new features might be out that you can take advantage of. But also under the help guide, there's some short tutorial videos. So if you happen to forget anything we talk about today, you can go back in and review it. If you ever need to send email, or excuse me, if you ever need to work with support for any type of information, you do have the ability to send log files right off these devices to a support ticket. So this option is right here. And then of course we have a log out option. So it is recommended at the end of your shift when you are done to properly log out So just hit your menu and hit log out. You could force close the app. However, that's not going to do a nice clean break of your session from Zoll Online. So we do recommend doing the log out option. One thing to keep in mind is if you do the swipe, on your iPad, you can kind of swipe through your applications, or on a phone for that matter. If you were to just swipe this off the screen, that is going to force close the app. Keep in mind, if you do that, you are closing the app and you're not going to be alerted for incoming trips. So that's one thing that we just kind of like to remind people of. Don't inadvertently just swipe the app off the screen, because that's not going to allow incoming trips to notify you. So just remember to log out properly when the time comes using the menu. In the upper right corner, you're going to see a little white cloud. White cloud is letting you know you're connected to the internet okay. So as long as you're connected, you should be able to send and receive information regarding your trips with no problem. If you lose Wi-Fi connectivity or cellular connection, that little cloud's going to turn red, and you'll get like a little chime in the background, just letting you know it's changed status to a disconnected state. If you do go into a disconnected state, the device will store information for you. So like if you update a timestamp, for example, or change an address of a hospital you're going to for transport, it will store that information. So as soon as you reconnect the internet, it will resync that back up to RescueNet, and it'll use the time that you actually hit the button. Like for your timestamp, for example, it's not going to be the time that it sent it, 10 minutes later when you get a connection. So it will store that and update it back to RescueNet. And then likewise, if dispatch has made any changes on a particular trip, once you get reconnected, it'll sync it back to you and give you the information and update it. All right. Any questions just on kind of the basics of logging in and some of the logistics about being connected to the internet? All right. So moving on. Currently, I am in an available status that you'll see here, and that's what I'm showing in RescueNet as well. The button that's highlighted here is our trips button. This is letting you know we're looking at our what's called the trip list. In the trip list, we have either our full trip list, which is going to show any and all trips that you've done for the day, including completed trips. And then we have the active trip button, which is just what it says, an active trip, so anything you're currently working on. So you can toggle back and forth between your full trip list and your active trip. We have a facilities button. This is going to show facility diversions. So in RescueNet, we can set up, I don't know if you guys currently use them, but we can set up diversions, like if the hospital CT scanner is down, for example, or maybe they're on a short, 2-hour diversion because of ER overcrowding or something. We can put those diversions here and it'll alert the crews. And then we have a chat feature to do either a crew-to-crew chat or a crew-to-dispatcher chat, as well as a push-to-talk feature, which is similar to like a radio to talk to other crew members of your dispatcher. So we're going to come back to all of these in a little bit. So we're going to start with the trips, and I'm just going to start with sending a simple non-emergency transport that I have a pickup and a drop-off location set for. Excuse me, and we'll just kind of run it through the life cycle of the trip. So in dispatch, drag this over again here. So in dispatch, I have this trip ready to go, and I'm just going to dispatch it down to my ambulance. So as I dispatch it, over on my screen, we're going to get an assignment notification. I actually have kind of previously dispatched this, and it's already been alerted. But what will happen when you assign a trip, you'll get a big red screen, the entire screen. I'll do this with an emergency trip coming up here in a minute or two, but the entire screen is going to turn red. And I have the option to go and route right from that screen. Or I can do what's called go to the trip list, which will just keep me in an assigned status and take me to this trip list. So currently I am in an assigned status, so I have not gone en route yet. Looking at the trip details, and you'll see that both devices were notified of this. So I'll just kind of move this over so it's a little easier to see. So I have the pickup information. So it's going to show, in this case, I have a hospital with the location. I have this trip information, which is going to show the patient's information, any alerts that might be set up in RescueNet. Our timestamps are going to start to accrue here as we generate timestamps. And once the trip is done, we'll also have loaded miles noted here. And then on the right-hand side, we'll have some of the details about the trip, such as the call types, what kind of priority it was, natures, the crew, and then any CAD comments or notes that are set up by the dispatcher. And then we have a drop-off location already predefined in here. So if I go back to that pickup location, so on here, you'll also see a map. This is going to show my, let's see, I'm over here. It's going to show my current location and the pickup location. In this case, it's 7.5 miles away, 20 minutes away. This is using Google Maps to generate this, so it's pretty accurate. So it's taking into account real-time traffic. So just like using Google Maps to navigate in your car when you're driving around, that's where it's pulling that ETA and distance from. And we also have this go option down the bottom. So this is new compared to what you're seeing in Navigator. So if I hit this go option, it's going to launch Google Maps, and it's going to launch it as a separate application. So it's outside of Respond. So if I hit go, it's going to open up Google Maps. I'm going to generate my routes for me, and then I can just hit start. And I don't know if you can hear it yapping at me in the background here, but it's giving me my turn-by-turn directions as well. So I can get back to Respond by either clicking in the very upper left corner, you'll see Zoll Respond. I can click back into it, or I can do a swipe where I bring up and pull up both applications in this case, and then just tap on Zoll Respond and bring up Zoll Respond. Also in here, I have the Show Directions button. So if you're used to those turn-by-turn directions that you would see in Navigator and you still like those, you still have the ability to see those on here. And we also have the ability to copy this address. So the little, it's like 2 pieces of paper icon here. If you need to copy this address and put it into other software, if you hit that copy, it'll pull that out and let you pop it and paste it into another software. So when I'm at scene, I can go ahead and click the at scene button, and it's going to shift me over to this trip information screen at this point, and mark me at scene. One thing I'll point out, and it doesn't really work in a training environment like this because I'm not driving around, is we do have turned on in your system what's called geofencing, which is set currently to 1/10 of a mile. So what that means is as I approach the scene, and I'm 1/10 of a mile away, which is only about 528 feet, as I approach that scene, it's going to come up with a big box in the center of the screen and just say, are you at the scene, yes or no? So it's just a prompt to the crew members to remind you to hit your status. So it's not going to automatically timestamp you, but it's just a reminder to make sure you hit your status. If you are on scene, just hit yes. It's going to update you to at scene. If you're not at scene, just hit no. It's going to keep you in an en route status until you actually click the at scene status up on the top here. These geofences happen at 2 other times as well. When you depart the scene, once it sees you left that bubble of 1/10 of a mile, it's going to say, it looks like you're transporting. Are you transporting? Yes or no? And then the same will happen when you get to your destination. It'll say, are you at your destination? Yes or no? Again, it's just a reminder to the crew to update your timestamps. So when I'm ready to start transporting, I can just click on the transporting button. It's going to ask me what priority I'm transporting. So these are my priorities in our test environment. This will show what your priorities are, which I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, but it'll show your priorities. So in my case, I'm going to say this is a pre-scheduled. And now it's going to reroute me to my drop-off location.
You want me to message Sharky that you're in attendance off my phone?
Was there a question? Oh, okay. So now that we're going to our destination, I can hit the go button here again. At the moment, I was still navigating to the original scene, so it's asking if I want to exit that current navigation. So I'll hit exit, and now it's going to prompt me to give me driving directions to that drop-off location. So I would just hit start, and it's going to give me directions to that drop-off location. We'll pop back into Respond. Again, you can also do those turn-by-turn directions if you want. You can copy the address. And with a destination, you guys have the option to change that destination as well. So this would be a case like maybe you, excuse me, maybe your patient's taking a turn for their worse and you have to reroute to a closer hospital, something like that. You can hit this change icon and either search for any of your facilities up here, or you'll have your top 5 what we call common facilities here, which will just be a 1-button click. Or like I said, you can go up in this top menu and start searching and search for an address to pop up. So we'll say we're going to cancel out of that. We'll stay with the original destination. Once I get to my destination, it will prompt you again with that geofencing, but otherwise, in my case, I'm going to manually hit that at destination. And at this point, the trip is done. And once you are complete with your trip, the way yours is configured, they want you to reach out to the dispatchers to say you're back in service, at which point in dispatch, I'm going to say I'm complete, and it's going to mark you as available, put you back in service, ready for the next call, and you're going to see the previous trip that you just did will be listed in your trip list here. So I can always go back into that trip and review any of the details if you need to see any information about that trip later on in the day. All right. Any questions about running a straightforward trip through Respond? Any questions from anyone? All right. So I'm going to, excuse me, I'm going to create an emergency call, new call and dispatch real quick. Give me a moment to create that. And I'm going to go ahead and send that trip to this vehicle. All right. So that's the alert that I was mentioning. So this is how those alerts will come in. So this timer you see running is how long you have been assigned to the trip. I have 2 options here. If I hit anywhere on this red screen, that's going to put me en route. Down here where you see the location and the nature, if I'm not ready to go en route yet, maybe this is something that's like a scheduled transport that you know about and you're not actually ready to go to en route, or you're waiting for your crew member to show up before you go, you can hit this trip list button, which will keep you in the assigned status and just take you to that trip list view. In my case, I'm ready to go en route, so I'm just going to tap the red screen. You'll see it put me en route, and I have my routing to the call, shows my pickup. I can hit that go button to launch Google Maps. If I go to the trip information, I'm going to see any particular details about that trip. In this case, it was an emergency patient or emergency trip, so I don't have any patient information on this one, but I do have CAD comments, what we're going for, and then any additional notes that might be popping in here. So one thing I'll add is with notes, let's see here, let me edit this trip. In dispatch, I'm going to just do a quick add of a note. I'll just add a short note in here and save it. And as soon as I add that note, you'll get a little notification that pops up to let you know that there's a new note. And if I swipe that off, you will see that new note is generated down here on the trip information page as well. So any real-time additional comments or notes that are added, you're going to see that information come back to you in Respond. Once I get at scene, I can go ahead and mark myself at scene. And then when I'm ready to start transporting, in this case, if I look at my drop-off, I do not have any location there yet. So when I hit the transporting status, it's going to prompt me where I'm going. So it's going to require you to pick that location. Again, you can pick from your top 5 common facilities, or I can do a search for where I'm going to, and then what priority. I'll say I'm going emergency in this case, And as soon as I make those changes, it is updating that information back into RescueNet, so the dispatcher knows where you're going as well. And then, of course, you can launch your driving directions to go to that destination. Once we're at the destination, just like before, I'll mark myself at destination. And when we're back in service, the dispatcher can timestamp me to complete. It'll put me back in service. Any questions so far? All right. So diversions, let's see here. The way diversions work, I'm going to set up a diversion in RescueNet. I'm going to put one of my hospitals, say the CT scanners, down temporarily. So I'll say the CT scanner's down, and you'll see you'll get that notification. And then that facility will show a red dot letting you know something has changed in there. So I can swipe the notification out at any point, just swipe it out. And if I tap on facilities, you're going to see that information about the diversion that was put in place by the dispatcher. And then the same will happen, I'm back out of that, same will happen if I go and remove that diversion. You're going to get notified that the diversion's been cleared. And if I go into this facility tab, you'll see now there's, click in there, you'll see there's no diversions going on. So nice tool if you guys have diversions going on in your area quite a bit, easy way to get that information out to the crews. All right. Next up is the chatting. So what I'm going to do here, I got to kind of finagle some screens here to make this work. So bear with me 1 second while I do that. Actually, I can do a crew to crew. Let me do a crew to crew chat first. So before I sign out of my phone. So if I want to chat with another crew member, so if I click on the chat icon, I have a couple options. So I can chat with existing runs. So previous runs, I have the ability to, for example, click on this particular run, and I can start a chat with the crew from that run. In this case, it's this user over here, the one with the 2 at the end. Or I can do what most commonly would be done is just hit this new message icon, and it's going to ask you who you want it to go to. Just search for the name. It's only going to display names of crew members that are currently signed in. So if someone's off duty, for example, not working, you're not going to see them populate in here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the second user that's over on my phone and type a test message, just say hello. And on my phone, we should get, yep, there it is. My little screen share was a little delayed there, but on the top of the phone, you'll get a little chat icon with a red dot next to it, letting you know there's a new chat message. And I got like a little kind of a ding on my phone, letting me know there's a new message. If I click on that, you'll see, as soon as my screen share catches up here, and my screen share is not catching up here. So when I click that, you're going to see the chat message down here. There we go. And I have the option to select that message. And now I can start typing back to my dispatcher or my other crew member, whoever it is you're chatting with. And you'll see that pops back on the iPad. So you can have that conversation back and forth. All right. Let me go back out to our main menu. And then the other option we have is our push to talk. So if I click on this push to talk, same kind of a concept. I have to search who I want to chat with. Whoop, actually, I think I have push to talk disabled on that particular crew member on this one. So what you'll get is the same kind of a thing. You'll select that user, And I'm going to make sure I get that turned on for you to show you how that works. Sorry about that. But then I will get a little icon in the center, which I push and hold. You have to wait for it to turn green, and then I chat with. So I'm going to turn that on, though, for this particular user. I just have it shut off at the moment. So I apologize for that. So let me get that corrected for you. All right. Bear with me 1 second while I do that. Yeah, I have push to talk turned off, so let me fix that quick. All right. Apologize, I thought I had this all set up ready to go. All right. All right. So with the push to talk, so what I did is, let me juggle some screens around here. So what you're looking at here is how a dispatcher would sign into this. So a dispatcher, in order to do a chat with your crew members, they're going to go to Zoll Online and sign in. And when they do that, they're going to have a screen similar to this. It may have different number of tiles here depending on what your privileges are, but they're just going to click on respond. And this is going to take them to their chat push to talk window. All right. So in my device, this is that original user, and this is that second user in the background. So if I do push to talk, I can look up that other user. Should be able to. Let's try it this way. Kind of shrink these out of the side to side here. So if I push and hold this crew member that I want to talk to, you'll see that it turns green, and I'm getting feedback on my computer here because it's coming through on my other device. So on the device, you'll see that the dispatcher was talking to me, so I can go into that push to talk. There's my big button, push that button, wait for it to turn green. And when I talk, you can hear it kind of reverberating back through with my microphone here. But you can use that as a secondary means of communication with your radio system. And it's nice if you get like out of range of your radio system and just want to chat with the dispatcher about something, whatever the case is. So handy feature. Again, with the chatting, works very similar. You're going to start a conversation. I'm going to say this is the person I want to talk to. It's going to start a thread here or a conversation here, and you'll see the thread here. So if I hit hello, you'll see that it pops up, and then in my device, you'll see a new chat message coming in. And here's the message from the dispatcher, which I can respond back to have that conversation. And you can start multiple conversations. They'll each be listed here. So whichever conversation you click on, the thread will be displayed here for the dispatcher. And then if you have you can also do what we call pin conversation. So if you have like maybe a supervisor conversation that you always want to have up top, I can pin that conversation, and it's always going to stay right here. When you're done pinning it, just hit the X up here, and it's going to remove it from the pin. And then we do have the option to do a broadcast message here. This is going to send a message to all of your users that are signed in. So when I send that message, it's going to go out to all of my crew members as an alert. It's continuously chiming in the background here until I acknowledge it, and I can click on it and see that conversation that came out from the dispatcher. Any questions? All right. Couple other things I want to point out. We do have the ability to send people to post. So if this vehicle was ready to go to a post in dispatch, I'm going to go ahead and send them to a post, and it's going to alert the crew. They've been requested to go to post. Please proceed to post. They're currently en route to the post. It'll actually give them driving directions to it as well if they need that. And then when they're at the post, they just click the at post status, and that will update them to at post in RescueNet. All right. Questions? All right. And then the last thing I want to point out, so everything I've talked about so far will be for every user, whether it's a standard crew member or a supervisor. So we do have, your folks can set up anyone that has supervisor permissions. If you're a supervisor, you're going to have these two icons on or two links on the bottom. One is this filter and sort. The other is this view all vehicles on map. If you're a standard crew member, you will not see these two options. View all vehicles on map does just what it says it's going to do. It's going to open up the map. You can zoom in and out. You're going to see any of your vehicles that are currently active in your system. And if I click on that vehicle, it's going to, and let me go back here. If I click on that vehicle, there we go. It's going to show me where that vehicle is. And then if there's any active trip information, it will have the trip information here as well. You can't interact with the trip, like put yourself en route or anything like that. It's just view only to see the details about the trip. But you can click on any of the vehicles to see what's going on with them. If I hit the back, that's going to take me back again. And then we also have this filter and sort option. So since I signed out and back in again earlier, my trips cleared off, but we do have the ability to filter. Supervisor can see all trips in your system from the point they signed in moving forward. So I can see trips that are completed by other crews or currently active by other crews, and you can kind of set this filter. So if you're in a busy system, running however many calls through the course of the day, this trip list can get pretty cluttered up as a dispatch or as a supervisor. So if you do want to clean this up, for example, if I don't really care about seeing canceled or completed trips, for example, I can toggle those off and they're going to disappear from this trip list just to make it a little easier to read for you. And then you can save those filters as well. So if you want to save a filter view, so I can just toggle on, say, show me just my active trips or show me all my completed and canceled trips, you can toggle what view you want to custom set up for yourselves if you're a supervisor. All right, so I'm going to put mine back to see all trips. And then we can also, as a supervisor, if you're only like in charge of like certain vehicles, for example, I can click on this unit button and I can you'll see all of your vehicles that are signed into the system. I can pick and choose what vehicles I want to look at as well, if that's a means that you can filter for you guys, if that helps out. So, all right, that's about it. Any questions from anyone? Anything at all?
I think we're all set.
Sharky? Yep, go ahead, Sharky. Sharky, anything else you can think of that you want me to hit on with this?
I think we're all set.
Okay. One thing I will point out that I didn't mention is if you guys, for example, cancel, get canceled on a trip, that is something that would have to go through dispatch the way we have you configured. So you would just have to let the dispatcher know that, for whatever reason, you're canceling on the trip, another unit canceled you, patient's not going against medical advice, something like that. Just let the dispatcher know and they'll cancel you off of it and put you back in service. So that's the only other thing I didn't mention. So beautiful. All right, well, I'm gonna stop the recording here. All right.